Darren Kyeyune, who's an athletics journalist from Kampala, Uganda. Darren, thank you for joining us this hour. You were in Budapest covering the 9-day track and field showpiece. What were your personal highlights from an African perspective?
Well, first and foremost, the fact that Joshua Cheptegei became only the fourth man in history to win the world 10,000-meter world title for a third time in a row, joining the Ethiopians Haile Gebrselassie, his idol Kenenisa Bekele, as well as the Mo Farah from Great Britain. I thought that stood out for me when he won that 10,000-meter final after really answering so many tough questions he had right from the start of the year. But also I've got to add the fact that Africa was able to medal for the first time in the men's 100-meter final, in particular Letsile Tebogo from Botswana, a lad that I've followed since he dominated the stage at the World Under-20 Athletics Championships that were held in Nairobi, Kenya at Kasarani just 2 years ago. I thought those were some of the moments that really stood out for me. On the sad bit, I must still be disappointed with the fact that even with the dominance of East Africa in the long distance running, they still just couldn't beat the Norwegian Jakob Ingebrigtsen over the 5,000-meter final. But also more importantly, the fact that Marie-José Talou, the 100-meter sprinter from Ivory Coast, just couldn't medal in any of the events over the 100 and the 200 meters, notwithstanding the form that she had all year.
Indeed, and you've already touched on Joshua Cheptegei. He, of course, won his third men's 10,000 meters title in Hungary. What, in your opinion, does the future now hold for the Ugandan?
I think there is now very little for Joshua Cheptegei to prove to the rest of the world, largely because he has stood his mark, especially on track. The fact that he holds the 5,000 meters and 10,000 meters world records, the fact that now he currently holds the world title. He won it in Doha 2019 in Qatar, at the Oregon 2022 championships in the USA, and now doing a back-to-back in Budapest over the 10,000 meter final. I think he has answered almost every question. Winning this title this time around was pretty much difficult because of the kind of season he had, recovering from an injury, and he arrived in Budapest without picking a single victory. In terms of the future, I think now he's headed for the marathon. He's done it the more traditional way. Lately, the young runners do cross to marathon pretty early. He has enjoyed the stage on track, and now it's time to test the marathon, now that he's already lined up a marathon debut in Valencia later on in December.
And Darren, crossing the border now to Kenya, Faith Kipketer became the first woman to win the 1,500 meters and 5,000 meters double at the Worlds. Can she now be described as the greatest African female distance track and field track athlete of all time?
Pretty tough, I must say, because we've witnessed a lot. We've witnessed a lot of talent come through, particularly Kenya itself. But the fact that Faith Kipketer managed to do something that has not been done before, and I must say she's had an incredible season, and she's aged like fine wine, if I'm to put it in that context, because early on in the season she was able to break the 1,500 meters and 5,000 meters world records, both of them before she arrived in Budapest, and to add the double, including the 5,000 meter world title, coming into a space that has the likes of, let's say, Bet Gideo, Gudaf Segai, as well as Sifan Hassan from the Netherlands. I felt she's really scaled the heights. I believe now that she's focused on trying to transit to the marathon, from what we gather, I believe there's still more for her to cement that status. For now, not yet Uhuru.
Right, and Burkina Faso, of course, had Fabrice Zango make history by winning his country a first gold medal at the Worlds. Just how significant is this achievement in the wider scale of things?
I think it is a huge feat. I recall first he tried to break through during the Summer University Games around 2016. I think he picked a silver medal, which was the second to his name. Then at the World Championships in Doha in Qatar, it still didn't sink in proper when he went on to win the bronze medal over the triple jump for the men. And even last year at the World Championships in Oregon, he managed to pick the silver in the same event, and this time round, well, he went and just hit the roof and picked the gold medal after a really decent fourth leap, if I recall. fourth attempt that he had, and that is what gave him the gold medal. For him to sweep the podium at the World Championships and take the gold eventually, perfect upgrade, I must say, but it is a big story, especially for a continent like Africa, which doesn't really medal much in the field events, whether it is the pole vault, triple jump, discus throw, hammer throw, and even maybe javelin, because of course there is that gold from Julius Yego back at the 2017 World Championships in London. There is scanty history for Africa in the field events. For Zango to stand out there and lift the name of Burkina Faso, I must say we've got to power him up.
Indeed. Darren, thank you very much for joining us this hour on Sports Scene and recapping the World Athletics Championships. Sports journalist Darren Kyeyune joining us live there from Kampala.